Hi, I'm Ross Mathews.
And I'm Dr. Wellinthon García.
And we're getting married. So I love Puerto Vallarta. I go down all the time, and it was right before the pandemic, and I was down with a big group of friends, and I woke up really early, like I always do, and I went and got a breakfast burrito, and I brought it to the rooftop pool where we were staying with my bestie Nikki, and we were just sitting there, you know, eating breakfast burrito, and it's a really good breakfast burrito. I mean, like, it would take a lot to pull my attention away from this breakfast burrito, and this one did it. Sitting in a corner over there, I was like, he's so good looking, I gotta put my breakfast burrito down. What is this about? And then eventually I
He had the courage to come up and say hi to me. And yeah, I didn't know him from any, like I didn't realize that it was him just because I don't really follow pop culture. Mm-hmm. And so when he introduced himself as Ross Mathews, I said, well, I'm Dr. Wellinthon García. Because who introduced themselves as Ross Mathews?
I did use both names.
Yeah,
That's weird, isn't it? I said, hi, I'm Ross Mathews. Who did I think I was? That's crazy. And when he said, hi, I'm Dr. Wellinthon García, I was like, oh, hi. And right away, though, truthfully, it felt like we had known each other forever. We just started talking about anything. And then all of a sudden, my friends, one by one, started coming up to the pool, and they were like, so how long have you guys known each other? And I'm like, what time is it? We just met, yeah. But it seemed like we had known each other forever.
Yes, and then Ross used the whole, I think this pool is warmer than this pool. Let's try this pool so that we can get away from their friends.
Why don't we slip into the pool and talk it out? The rest is history. We met in January of 2020, right before the world shut down. And so I was on tour with my book Name Drop, and he would meet me in cities, and then the world just like boom. And he was in New York and I was in LA. And so we started dating via Zoom, like every day. We would, make an appointment to be together. And we like, Taco Tuesday, I'd Uber eat some tacos, and yes. We would watch shows together and hang out. And then finally we got to be together when I came here to New York to visit. And it felt like I was coming home, even though I didn't live here. It's just wherever he was felt like home.
Yeah. And I just thought we were always together because, especially when he finally came in October, he actually asked me to finally make it official. And I said, I thought we were already a couple.
I said, well, I'd like to officially call you, be boyfriends. And he was like, aren't we already? I was like, well, but hello, we need to make it official, There's something about Wellinthon that feels like home. He is so calming. He's so much smarter than me. He challenges me, and he validates me. And I hope I do the same for you.
Always, babe.
Aw. Yeah, it's you got to know when you have it good. When you find the one, you got to pay attention and make sure nothing happens to let that slip through your fingers.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a 300 million when it comes to the wedding. We grew up not even knowing what a gay grown-up human being looked like. We just didn't see it represented in my farm town in the Dominican Republic where Wellinthon grew up.
Yeah, no.
And so we never even thought that getting married was something we would be able to do. We didn't have those fantasies or those dreams as little kids. And as we fought hard for marriage equality and got it, it actually made us both very emotional as, we sat down and thought, what do you want for your wedding? I had never once pondered what I wanted for my wedding because it was never a possibility.
Yeah, there's no blueprint for us.
Yeah.
So it was important for us, especially me in education. I wanted to make sure that, this whole concept of mirrors and windows is reflected in our actual wedding ceremony. So meaning that, not only are my students able to see themselves in me, but also I reflect a window to other perspectives and other ideas of what it actually looks like. So that concept of windows and mirrors was very, very important to me, especially as an educator.
Yeah, we spoke about whether we wanted to do this public or not, because we hadn't really talked about our relationship prior to being engaged, because I didn't want to invite any scrutiny, and that can be tough. But when we got engaged, we had a conversation about, do we want to be public? And we both said yes, because we wanted to be what we didn't have growing up.
Correct.
We want little kids to be able to look at us and say, oh, I can have that one day. I deserve that one day. And they can, and they do.
And fabulously.
Oh, yeah. And also, they could be fabulous. Thank you very much. We're two men. There's nothing traditional about two men getting married. You understand? So we don't feel the pressure to follow any traditions. What tradition would you say we're following?
We're getting rid of the bride.
Oh. Yeah, someone asked us, what's one thing you won't have at your wedding? And Welly said, the bride.
The bride is not going to be there.
We don't need her. But really, what's great about us, what we're doing is like there is no blueprint for us of how to do this kind of wedding, really. We get to make it up as we go along. And, at first that can kind of sound sort of heartbreaking because we couldn't have weddings before. But there is something very free about that. We don't have to follow any constricts or structure of what we should do or shouldn't do. We just do what we want.
Yeah, we created some new traditions too.
I am so proud that we're getting married at the Almar Resort in Puerto Vallarta, one of my favorite destinations in the entire world. It also happens to be like the premier luxury LGBTQ resort. It is stunning. It's overlooking the Pacific Ocean, just blocks away from where we met over 2.5 years ago.
That's right.
It's so special that our friends and family will be joining us there at this spot. Vidal, the owner of Almar, is a great friend of mine. I've known for years, just from going down there. We met. And so when we were discussing where we wanted to do it, I thought, let me text Vidal at Almar. And he wrote back and said, we would love to have you. And it was our place. We had looked at a bunch of other ones, and this was the one.
Yeah. It's unique. It's a very new space as well. And so we're just so excited to be one of the first to actually get married there. So.
We looked at rooms, so they're like, oh, you have to decorate the whole room. Okay. Then we went to this place, and it was like, oh, how about the ocean and sunset? Well, you can't beat that, can you? So we will be overlooking the ocean as the sun kisses the horizon, and that'll be when we seal the deal.
Kisses.
Okay. Mwah. Welly's sister Raquel is his pride of honor. Yes. My brother Eric is my best man. Our nephews, Evan and Andrew, will be the ring bearers. Welly's dad will represent our parents as he walks us both down the aisle. And our flower girl is a new up-and-comer by the name of Drew Barrymore. It's so funny because it really came up on the show. We get to go out on the Drew Barrymore show every single day and be unscripted and just keep it real, And one day we were doing a story about weddings or something, and she said something about a flower girl, and she asked me, are you gonna have a flower girl at my wedding? And I'm like, why, you want the gig? And she was like, oh, are you asking me to be your flower girl? And I was like, do you want to be a? She goes, are you serious? I'm like, are you serious? And she's like, I'm so serious. And even when we went to commercial, I was like, are you serious? Do you really want to? And she was serious. Yeah. But I have to say, it does make sense. It's not just because it's, Drew Barrymore. It's because she's been Drew, our friend, who's been so instrumental in this relationship. I wouldn't be in New York if it weren't for her asking me to come join her on her show. And who knows where we'd be in our relationship if we were still coasts apart. So she's been the conductor of our love story. So it makes sense that she's there on the big day.
His mom and his dad's not here any longer with us, and neither is my mom. And so one of the things that I felt the most proud about is actually having them incorporated somehow in the wedding. And so we're having candlelights lit for them, along with pictures of them there, and along with just little keepsakes that they've given us. And so we're going to treasure that, and they're going to be part of the ceremony.
There'll be a remembrance for them as well. We feel them here, we feel them there. And we want a physical manifestation of their void. So there will be seats with pictures, with candles, and they will
Be in our
I'll be
hearts.
here, yeah.
Yes. We're writing our own vows.
Yeah, I wrote mine on the train in to the city the other day, and I just started crying. I was wearing a mask and sunglasses, but I really I could start crying thinking about it right now. You know, it's all overwhelming. And I've had big things happen to me. You know, I've done some really incredible things. I've seen incredible things in my career. But this is the big time thing. And just writing it down, how I feel about you and how I want to share it was very touching.
Yeah.
Very touching.
I wrote a dissertation on Ross, so.
Excuse me? Okay.
You may now kiss your groom.
We live in Palm Springs when we're not in New York, and so what's really important to us is sort of bringing that vibe to Mexico. And so we're having a lot of palm leaves, white flowers, some succulents.
One of the things that we purposely did was actually do the programs in Spanish and English, just to represent my culture. And I felt it was important that my guests and his guests are able to see that. And so we actually named, instead of like just table numbers, we actually gave them names in Spanish that meant something that was tied to our vows. So like things that we promised each other. So one of the things is like amor, pasión.
Corazón is a table, which means heart.
Yes.
We have a table for adventure and friendship and laughter, all in Spanish.
Yes, and he's learning Spanish now. So.
Sí. We're incorporating a lot of Spanish language things into the wedding for his family and his traditions and culture.
Yes.
And for my culture, we're giving the guests slippers after dinner because we are lazy people. I come from people who like to kick off their shoes and sit down. Long line. We're very proud. Mostly, I just want great music, and I want people to make toasts, and I want there to be so much alcohol and an unlimited bar. We're gonna have musicians from one of my favorite piano bars called Garbo in Puerto Vallarta. And that was important to us too, is to sort of get local people to contribute to this wedding. You know, we're there for a reason. We want that culture there. So we'll have live musicians playing, and then it'll switch into DJ for the dance party later.
When the sun shines, we'll shine together. Told you I'll be here forever.
Listen, I searched like Spotify for like wedding songs, and it was so cheesy, Cheese Fest. So there's this song I have always loved that I think the lyrics are so sweet and so simple, but so profound. And so we found an acoustic version of Rihanna's Umbrella. What I love about that song is it talks about we took an oath, we're gonna stick it out to the end. If it's ever raining, you can come and stand under my umbrella. And I think that that's what marriage is, right? You know, we're here for the good times and for the bad times. And if there is a storm out there, baby, you always can stand under my umbrella. I love
That's
you.
a given. Same.
We invited about 130 people because I thought, great, it's a destination wedding, so maybe we'll get 50 people coming. All right, so we're at about almost 110 people showing up, leaving their houses from both coasts, and that gives me such anxiety. But Drew told us when I didn't know if I would have it in LA or we do it here in New York, she said, do it where you're supposed to do it, and the people who are supposed to be there will be there. Yeah. I want everyone who comes to think it's the best time they've ever had, and everyone who RSVP'd no to really be mad at themselves that they couldn't make it. What I love about Wellington is that he calms me, and he gives me such confidence in who I am, because he sees me, 360, and he likes what he sees. And I also love that we think so differently. We can look at the world and think such completely different things that I'm learning every day from him. And most importantly, we laugh like crazy.
What I love the most about Ross is that, you know, his heart is so genuine and pure, and he gives it all to me. Always makes me number one. And his humor, I mean, I'm trying to beat him at his own puns, but
He cannot do that.
yeah, but it's cute, and I just love him. I adore him. Everything you see on screen is actually how he is in person, and I don't think there's anyone that's ever said anything wrong about him or negative about him, just because he's a pure soul, and I'm so lucky to have met him and for him to enter my world, and definitely the luckiest man here.
We both have had a tough couple years because there has been such great joy in our lives as we've been falling in love and building this life together. We both lost our mothers in the past couple years, and there's as sad as it is, there's like a gift that comes with that, that you know how short it all is and how precious it all is. And now we just want to live. You know, I want to see the world with him. I want to laugh with him. I want to learn. I want to have great food. And I want to get old and take care of each other. That doesn't sound lofty. I mean, that sounds pretty simple, right? But that's it. That's what I want. Anything else is going to be frosting.
And watch a lot of 90 Day Fiancé.
Yeah, we'll be watching lots of 90 Day Fiancé. Hello, we're still human.